Good morning. How's everybody doing? It's August. Holy crap. So good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us for our August employee meeting, employee forum meeting rather. We're almost ready for a new semester, a new start to the academic year. Yay. I know those of us who are student-centered folks are a little freaking out right now. That might be me a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and get started for us today. We have joining us this morning, Chief of Staff Christi Hurt. So thanks for being with us this morning, Christi. Looking forward to hearing some updates from the administration and chatting with you this morning to get us started for the year.
Excellent. And good morning, everyone. Thanks for inviting me. And I am just so glad to see all of you. As Katie mentioned, we're getting ready for that start of the semester. And I love that it was a couple degrees cooler this morning. So we could start to feel like maybe there's a benefit to getting to this point in the year when everything starts to get a little bit more busy for all of us. And before we get started with the updates, both from sort of the report from the past spring and a little bit going into the fall, I just want to say thank you to all of you who are working so hard over the summer to keep this place running in all the different ways that you do. So thank you for everything. Again, I'm the Chief of Staff for the Chancellor, subbing in today, and want to thank you, Keith, and want to let you know that we have some great updates from the spring. So to get started, we are really proud to say that for 22 consecutive years, the U.S. News and World Report has ranked us a top 5 public university. I know we're all very proud of this. And for 18 consecutive years, we've been rated the top public for being a best value institution. And again, I think this comes back to a lot of the work that you all are doing to keep us affordable and accessible to our students, and we're really proud of that. We also have 21 graduate programs now ranked in the top 10 in the nation. Our pharmacy school is still number 1. Our School of Law is up to 22. Katie, I'm sure that is all you're doing. And a School of Medicine is number 7 for primary care. And so we're just a lot of things that we're proud of. Second, our researchers are driving innovation and impact in areas ranging from gene therapy to drug development and traumatic brain injury to island sustainability and coastal resilience and more. And last year, we're really proud to say that we had over $1.2 billion of sponsored research, ranking us the 13th largest research university in the nation for volume and annual expenditures. So that's just fantastic. We are the 10th top ranked university in the US for federal research, totaling $706 million annually. So just all sorts of things to be proud of. And you're absolutely right. I didn't mention the School of Public Health, which is my alma mater, number 1. Very proud of that as well. So thank you, Matthew. Third, we completed our second all funds budget process with an over $4 billion budget. This is led by our great friends in F&A, and we're just so pleased to say that this keeps us really just a well-run ship. This all funds budget's a really big deal. For those of you who can remember the era when we had gobs of different budgets coming out of different schools and units without being really centrally coordinated, we're really proud that our colleagues in F&A have done the great work to keep us centralized in these past 2 years with this all funds budget. And in fact, this is such great work that in our Moody's ranking, our financial ranking, they specifically called out our budget process as proof of our strong financial position. So that's just really something to be proud of. It's a lot of work for a lot of folks, and we continue to really double down on our strength in this space, and that's just outstanding. We remain among a select group of universities with a AAA bond rating from at least 3 different agencies. We're the only institution in the UNC system with this rating. We're grateful for the hard work of all the folks on campus to ensure that we have this strong financial footing, and that helps us make really great decisions to reinvest in our students, our staff, and our faculty as we can. And I think that that's something that we really always look forward to being able to do. Fourth, we launched our new general education curriculum, Ideas in Action, last year. A lot of you were involved in this as well. Our students, we recognize that they need a broad understanding across the arts and humanities, of course, to better prepare them for the ever-changing global economy, for those jobs that we don't even know yet should exist. This curriculum, of course, really emphasizes experiential learning, internships, research, and study abroad. So getting those applied skills has really been key for our students. And we're excited to go into the second year of that work. Fifth, a lot of you are involved in this effort. We're moving forward with 2 big new academic endeavors. One, our School of Data Science and Society. The Board of Governors approved the Master of Applied Data Science degree, and the first cohort of students will begin classes in January 2024. In this realm. And that's just fantastic, exciting new work. And that'll really, I think, help drive the economy of our state and meet the need for more people who have those skills going into jobs. That leadership team is currently designing a curriculum for both the BA and the BS in data science, so more coming in this space. And that'll create new courses, including things like intro to data science, ethics, and communication. And so that'll just be wonderful work to keep hearing about. We're recruiting new faculty to the school with 15 faculty now hired. This is really cool. And some are 100% with the school and some are with joint appointments with other departments across campus, really trying to do that integrative work with this new school. And so I know I'm always really excited when I see new names come across the desk of folks that we've recruited from just outstanding programs ready to join the team here at Chapel Hill. Now, of course, we are all also familiar with our School for Civic Life and Leadership, which is moving along. So that's moving forward under Dean Jim White's leadership, and they're hiring faculty and working to develop that curriculum. I saw him out on the stoop of South Building this morning having a meeting about this very issue. The first 7 tenure track faculty will be appointed from within the college in the coming weeks. So you could expect some news on that front. So again, kind of looking from within for some faculty on that. And then that group of faculty will then recommend an interim director and develop a longer-term hiring plan for a permanent director and additional faculty. So we're looking for leadership from our existing schools and units to move that forward. And we're really pleased with the progress on that to date. So more coming there as well. And as always, we are preparing our next generation of leaders to serve our state. That is what we do. That is what we are about. And we as a university serve our state every day, from providing healthcare in rural parts of our state to starting companies that hire North Carolina workers to help governments address the opioid crisis. We're passionately public through our service and very proud of that part of our work. Our Carolina Across 100 initiative has launched a new program to address the mental health crisis in our state. We heard a little bit about that at our Board of Trustees meeting last week. Anita Brown-Graham continues to knock that out of the park for us, and we're really proud of her work across the state here. And of course, Katie, we're looking at our bus tour again this year. And so as we continue to deepen our commitment across the state, we're going to put more faculty and staff on the road to go check out some really wonderful locations across North Carolina. And we're excited to see who's going to be on that tour, what those stops are going to be, and that will all be news coming in the next few weeks. So that's exciting. And I, as a participant of the bus tour last year, just can't speak highly enough about how great that experience was. So I hope folks from your departments or y'all can get out there and join. Sixth, and this is some work that I have been involved with personally and deeply, we are moving forward with our commitment to address physical accessibility across our campus. As you know, we have an old campus, and we are well underway with what I see every day out my window, which is the construction of the old well ramp. I don't know how many of you have seen that this summer, probably most of you, but we have many accessibility projects that got across campus. That is perhaps the most visible, right? And working on our good icon out here. And that will be ready for ribbon cutting by the first day of classes. So we are very committed to not interrupting the first SIP experience for our students coming in. We don't want to mess with their opportunities for that 4.0. And we're really pleased that that ramp will be useful soon. And the other piece of that I think is so important is to really highlight that that was really advocated for by our students. And the Chancellor was able to secure some private funding to help make that happen. But again, really proud of our students who stepped up to help point out places where the campus needs to be improved. And we have joined them in that effort to continue to identify more and more projects. For example, the board has also approved projects like Caldwell Hall accessibility. That's a building that has needed some support for a long time. And we're also working on elevator modernizations in buildings across campus and a host of other issues, big and small, ranging from building changes to ordering desks that raise and lower so students can use those in the classroom. So we can expect a different fall when we welcome students back in terms of the accessibility, but miles to go before we sleep on that, as I always say. And so those are some of the updates that we've been working on. Of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge the SCOTUS decision. And so I think that that's a really big piece that folks have been working on implementing this summer, of course, in the Students for Fair Admissions case. You'll be hearing more and more updates on this soon. We have an illustrious group of team working out of the provost's office to give guidance to deans as we head into admission and application season around what we'll be doing here. Largely, of course, you can imagine we'll be hiding the checkbox in the Common App that identifies race. We'll be working on our essay prompts. I think those are about ready to be launched momentarily. And we're poised to continue to provide ongoing guidance for folks who are looking in the admissions arena about how they can best secure the candidates for the schools that they need and to make sure that we aren't using race as one of the factors when we make those decisions. So that's all coming. You all also probably saw the announcement the Chancellor made about aid for families who make less than $80,000 in the state of North Carolina. We're really pleased with this work as well. I think that you've probably seen, but it just bears repeating that this funding will be covered with philanthropy resources and is really doing two things. One, it's a bit of clarity, I think, around what families can expect when they apply to Carolina. For those of you who've been a part of the college admissions process, you know, you apply for schools and you apply for financial aid, and those are separate decisions. You don't really know what's going to happen in the black box of financial aid when you're waiting for that sort of announcement about how you could be supported in sending someone to school. This dollar figure, when we say that something is going to, you know, families can access this if they make under 80K, it gives you a little bit more of a cue about what you're going to be able to expect and receive once you're here. And I think that that clarity is really important for families. And so we're proud that we're able to do that. And the other piece here is that we already had a lot of aid. Carolina has been a place where we have doubled down in areas around the Carolina Covenant, et cetera, to make sure that we are always accessible and affordable in accordance with the Constitution of the state of North Carolina and system guidance and so on. These are key priorities for us. What we have been able to do is to close a gap in our aid. And so when we've created this threshold of $80,000 as a place that we're trying to say you will not be paying tuition and required fees at that level, we're closing a gap. Probably those families were already receiving a good portion of their tuition covered, but we're making it zero, right? We're closing that gap with the last $1,000 that they might have needed, for example. So I think that that's work that we're really proud of. It's a specific fix, and we're eager to move that forward. So I think that those are all of my updates. I know I speak quickly, so I'm happy to answer any questions. But again, I just really want to say I thank all of you for making this work for our campus. We're so proud of our faculty, our staff, and our students, and we know that our staff undergird it all. So thank you for your work. I'm grateful to you all. I'm grateful to the forum. And if the Chancellor could be here, he would, and he certainly sends his greetings. And I hope you all can find a little bit of peace and time to relax this summer. So that is me.
Awesome. Thanks, Christy. I'm sure that this group has questions. I know I have a couple, but I want to open it up to the floor first and see anybody have questions for Christy. Okay, well, I'll start because I know I had some questions. So one of the things you talked about was the SCOTUS decision. There's been some news about how various institutions across the country are handling this news. And a lot of that is centered around legacy admissions and even some colleges getting rid of early admissions processes as well, as those are also a little bit of concern. So are there any thoughts from our perspective on what our plans are and how to handle legacy admissions or early decision?
It's just too early to say, oh, we don't have early decision. So I can answer that one first. We have early action, which is non-binding. And so I think that's just a really different frame than putting out an early decision where you don't have, where it might have some class implications, so to speak, where you're not quite sure about that aid piece.
Yeah.
Legacy is TBD. We don't have much legacy work here, certainly none for in-state students. And that's, of course, the majority of our population. I think that there's sort of a second look for out-of-state legacy applicants, but it's not a very high impact. But that would be something that would come down the pike a little bit after we get a hold of where we are with the race piece and making sure that we're in compliance with SCOTUS. But I think it's a really fascinating issue to keep paying attention to on the national landscape as you see schools, and certainly the case against Harvard, proceed. It's something that I know and we'll all keep a close eye on. And I'm excited to sort of see where that heads, because obviously times are changing.
Yeah, very much so. Arlene.
I'm just going to ask Elizabeth's question from chat about will the photos of the new ramp be available to the DEI committee to use as, hey, look what we did.
Absolutely.
We're encouraging diversity.
100%. We're very proud of this ramp. I don't know how many of you all are, on campus regularly enough to see it. Folks are working day and night to get this done. They actually, as always with a construction project, you run into setbacks, and they have just been working double time to make sure that that the ramp is done for that first day of classes. And so students really experience the welcoming nature of the old well and the tradition here at Carolina. I see in the chat, it is absolutely an iconic example. And we, of course, would love to share pictures and share this story. And we will do a ribbon cutting at some point. And we're reaching out to make sure that we have also a reception sort of thing to thank the team that's been working so hard to make this happen all summer in the brutal heat.
Awesome. Speaking of the accessibility questions, and we passed a resolution recently about accessibility, so we're glad to hear kind of some progress being made in this area. One of the things that was brought up in some of our discussions about accessibility was a need for some sort of central portal or way for citizens across our campus to submit things of concern, either facilities concerns or even just straight up accessibility concerns, because there doesn't seem to be a decentralized way of activating the population around campus in highlighting these things. Is that something that we could look into implementing?
I think we have it. I'm going to ask Becci if that's confirmed. At some point, we were about to create and launch a portal, but I think that has already happened, or at least a place where you can report a problem. Becci, looking at you. I'm about ready to Google it.
And I'm looking as much at Carly as me. No,
It's out there.
I'm saying I'm looking at others because this has really been a team effort to sort of figure out both how we create the portal, but then how to ensure that somebody's on the receiving end to do something about it. So Carly, maybe you want to jump in on that one.
Yeah, Tiffany, Tiffany has rolled out a web form. And
there it is.
Yes, yeah, you got it. So she's receiving these requests, triaging them, and then we have a team, I'm on the team, that's reviewing all the facilities needs, and we're sending someone out right away, either to fix or put it in the queue if it's a bigger project. So that's what's happening. It started maybe 6 weeks ago.
Right. Is this also able to be used for like safety concerns or issues? Maybe if it's not straight up like accessibility, I'm just wondering the parameters of what types of things should be implemented in this form.
Say more. Do you mean for folks with physical challenges, or are you talking about safety broadly, like
Just
going all the way out?
broadly for like any person on campus. So like for instance, at the law school, there's an issue on Ridge Road of some crosswalk needs that aren't there. There's also not sidewalks along Ridge Road. So like, there's just some safety things that like, sometimes like as you're walking through campus, you're like, ooh, this is not the greatest. And a way to just flag some of those things for main campus that aren't really in our purview, in our jobs, in our departments, but it's still of concern on campus.
Carly, I'm not sure how folks report that. I think that we've had some of it through our phone apps, but I'm not sure where we are now.
Yeah, that's more of a request for a larger project. So we might need to have phone calls, meetings, or emails about that right now. You always can put it in a work order, but as you know, that's more of a one-off and you might have to have funding. So to me, that's more of an email conversation right now. I wouldn't use Tiffany's web form. That would create more work for her unless it's truly an accessibility need.
And it touches on accessibility because there's no sidewalks.
Right.
So that is an accessibility concern, but it's also a broader safety thing. So like, I'm sure there's other instances on campus where somebody might not be sure if this is a straight up accessibility issue, but it's something of concern. So I think an ability to flag those types of things that are just not as straight up accessibility would be
or straight up a piece of facilities work, but needs some larger planning. I'll take that down, and it's not the first time I've heard it. We can work on it.
Katie, this is Rick. I'm sorry, I'm coming in late because I had some video problems, but I think you were talking about accessibility around campus and moving around. We're also working with the group that Christi's been working with, and also ITS to look at developing an app that will allow for accessibility movement around campus that would alert to some of these issues and redirect people to where there are accessibility issues currently due to construction. So OE is working with the group in accessibility, ITS, and others to investigate where we can go with that. Also, obviously, Carly and facilities would be involved in that conversation.
Great. Thanks, Rick. Arlene.
This is something that I don't know. This is something I saw years ago, and I did not know who to report it to. It was a curb cut that had gotten flooded and silt had gathered to the point where it wasn't really a curb cut anymore. But I don't know if that's Chapel Hill or if that's campus. If someone reported something like this through this portal, would it then be directed and said, hey, Chapel Hill, be aware of this, or just go, that's not our problem? How would that be handled?
We wouldn't do that's not our problem. And I do think that form's an appropriate way to handle that. Christi, I hope it's okay that I jumped in.
Please.
But yeah, that form's a good place to report that. And the people that are reviewing this feedback are our university architects, so campus planning, then building services, Darius Dixon, the lead of operations, and then me. So we're making sure that they get routed appropriately.
And I see the comment in the chat about a purely inaccessible pathway. And let me also say that part of this work is securing an external consultant who's going to do a full campus physical plant sort of review of accessibility. So we'll have our priorities outlined in that. And there's a group of folks who are working in the space to help secure that consultant, identify the needs, and move that forward. And I think that's going to be really important work so that we're not essentially playing whack-a-mole with problems on a one-off basis and waiting for someone to make a report, but actually doing that bird's eye view and doing an assessment to figure out where we need to apply our resources. So this work is ongoing in a lot of different capacities.
Right. Matt has a comment in the chat. With all the focus on accessibility, I'd love to see an article in the Well or even a formal notice highlighting this form exists so people know to use it.
I'll
Great.
pass it along to our communications friends. Absolutely. Thank you.
Any other questions for Christi? Well, we really appreciate all of these updates as we gear up for the start of the year. We're looking forward to it, and I know we're excited about having students back. So please feel free to join us anytime, Christi.
Thank you.
Glad to have you.
I'm always happy to jump in, and I'm just so grateful that it's a few degrees cooler this morning. So enjoy. Thank you.
All right, moving on forward to the next portion of our agenda. So we've got our traditional human resources update with Becci and her team. So welcome, Becci. Thanks for being with us this morning.
Good morning. It's hard to follow Christi, who's got excellent updates this morning. I have a whole lot of added ambiguity to bring to the group, but I do have a couple of updates. Probably most importantly, you all have been watching the news as I have. We do not yet have a budget. The good news, and I spoke to our state relations folks this morning, is it does look like they are getting closer and closer. And it sounds like we might have something by the tail end of next week or early the following that's completed through the two houses, and then we'll go on to the governor's desk. So fingers crossed for that. I have heard that there is an agreement if for some reason that doesn't work out, that they would likely do mini bills that would allow for state employees to be given their annual increase outside of a budget, but it does sound as if the budget stuff is moving forward. The good news is there has been long time agreement on both sides about state employee increases. So we have not been the reason for the delay in the budget, which is always a good thing. Instead, it's been taxes and Medicaid expansion. But as I read yesterday, and as I spoke to the state relations folks yesterday, or this morning, it sounds like yesterday there was some good headway made, particularly on the tax issues. So with any luck, we'll have a budget here shortly. We will then get guidance from the system office on whatever the statutory language is. You all know as well as I do that the language changes a little bit every year, so we can never count on it looking exactly the same. But we'll get the guidance and then we'll roll it out just as quickly as we can. In addition to that, many of you have been tracking, there are a couple of other things that have made it through the legislature. We did see passage of the bill that would allow for transition of SHRA exempt roles to EHRA. That, of course, would be an optional transition for those currently in the roles. If people choose to move, we will give them, presumably based on the guidance, the option to do so probably once, maybe twice. And then those positions also would transition once vacated. So we imagine that would look very similar to the way we've done IT and business and finance transitions. But again, we're waiting on the guidance. The system office is putting that together, and we expect to have that shortly. We also saw another bill make it through that had some really specific guidance about training, largely around diversity and sort of more, I forget what the wording was, civility in the workplace or some such thing. We don't have any guidance on how that's to be rolled out across campuses. That is, again, something we're waiting on the system to do. Quite frankly, in my review of the budget language, it doesn't look like it prohibits us from doing anything we're currently doing. I think it's just in putting some guardrails around some of the trainings that we roll out more broadly. I didn't see any big red flags. Admittedly, my read was a quick one. I'm more interested in the implementation language to understand how it will impact us directly. We don't have that yet. So more to come on that. We'll keep an eye out for it. I have given regular updates on the range updates. We are making good progress on the SHRA ranges. I'm expecting more feedback from the system office later this week, which should give us a closer read to see where we are. Their hope is that we can get our feedback back to them by the end, or that we're wrapped up with our internal process by early September, such that they can get it to OSHR for approval, so that we would have it back in time to roll it out by the end of the calendar year. So they're making really good progress there. We have had some continued concern about a handful of ranges. Many of these are ones I've talked about before: research area, housekeeping, grounds, dental assistants, dental hygienists, that sort of thing. Some areas where there have been some added challenges. They're looking at those as well as a number of others. We've taken the feedback we've gotten from you historically. Also, our class and comp team have looked at the ranges. And right now it looks like we're moving largely to regional ranges as opposed to North Carolina only, meaning the comparators they're looking at in the market are not just in North Carolina, they're looking more broadly at regions. But the guidance has been anywhere or any range we consider, we want to choose the most favorable one for each position. So I know I've told you this before. I feel really good about the work the system office is doing. Of course, we all think they should move 25%. I can be very frank in telling you they're not going to move that much, but they really are doing a good job of getting the most supportive market data available such that we can be more competitive. So that's good. As soon as we wrap up the work of the campuses on the SHRA data, we will move right into EHRA data or EHRA ranges, and hope to have some updates on that one, those as well. And then I think, let me just see, I think those were the big things I was going to provide. The last piece I should say is, sorry, David, your question is most favorable. Is it most favorable to the employee or to the university? I would argue that those are one and the same. We want you to believe that you're sufficiently paid, and we want to keep you here if you're doing a good job in the role. So we want you to be paid competitively. So I'm talking about the broadest ranges that keep us most close to market outside of the university. So highest number for the employee and for the university. So I promise you, we're not working against you when you say university or the employee. We are all on the same team, and we do want to see employees compensated fairly and equitably. So, and then the last thing I'll note, many of you saw a memo that the Office of State Budget Management sent out. Because we don't yet have a state budget, we are limited in doing a number of HR and finance actions up until a budget is passed. This is standard procedure, though, like every year, the memo looks a little bit different. This means we have limited capacity to put in play a number of increases or bonus payments that you all have moved through if they were not dated prior to June 30th. Anything that's already gone through the system is not going to be removed, but anything that is in line but dated prior to June 30th can't go through until we get a budget passed. And I know Linc's on the line, and he can correct me if I've misstated any of that, but that's a challenge. We never like to see that memo come through. It's a challenge we never like to have to hurdle, particularly right as the start of the school year comes. But with any luck, we'll have a budget next week, and we won't have to feel the impacts of this memo for much longer. Linc, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I think you covered it.
All right. And with that, a fair amount of ambiguity, but some good things coming our way. I'm happy to take any questions if you have them, though I might first note that I echo Christi's comments in thanking you all for all that you continue to do for Carolina. And I hope before we see the onslaught of students, you all get a little bit of chance to take a break. Any
Becci.
questions? Looks like.
Hey
Shayna?
there, I have a
Shayna?
question.
Yeah, sorry, I for Katie to give you the nod, but it looks like she's frozen.
No problem. Quick question about the freeze. Does that affect vacant positions if we're trying to get a reclass?
Linc, I'm gonna have you chime in. There are so many rules around this one. I can't remember which ones it
Yeah.
affects.
So there has to be some sort of attestation on the department's part that the action being taken on a position like a reclass or a new position establishment is being based off of the prior year's budget and funding and not anticipated new funding from the new budget. I realize that's a very fine needle to thread. But the system office is pretty clear that, you know, if we're operating on our existing budget that we have from the past fiscal year, then those kinds of actions, like a new position establishment, we could look at. The reclass is one of those things that we'll probably have to look at on a case-by-case basis. So if you want to work with my team, or if your department wants to work with my team on whatever action you have in process, then we'll take a look at it and see if we need to get additional guidance from the system office on it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And Michael, I don't know the states offhand. I think there were 6 or 7 in the ranges. And I know that we talked a lot about Virginia, and I believe they're both in there, but I don't remember offhand. But we did have lots of conversations as a broader group. Interestingly, the regional ranges were pretty much as competitive as national ranges. When we looked at them, we have a harder time moving through national ranges when we're working with OSHR to get the final level of approval. So there's only some job categories that we can move through with national, but the regional ranges that were presented to us by the consultants generally were far more closely aligned with national ranges or ahead of national ranges, and generally were ahead of the North Carolina ranges.
Katie has asked me and Keith to facilitate while she figures out how to unfreeze. I almost started singing Let It Go, but I'll spare you. Any other questions for Becci? It looks like James.
Yeah, I can't find the hand raise button. I've got a new computer, so I'm still trying to figure it out. I apologize. Becci, to clear up what you said about financial actions, retention bonuses, sign-on bonuses, if they've already been allotted or you're in the process of hiring someone for that position, they'll go through, correct?
If they've already been allotted and they were dated prior to June 30th, yes. Right. If they are part of a posting that and somebody came on after June 30th, the sign-on bonus, Linc, correct me if I'm wrong here, will be delayed until after we have the budget authority.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Arlene.
Sorry, I got pulled away by a phone call, so I may have missed this. Would this impact changing pay of temporaries?
I believe it's all expenditure types.
Okay.
So until we have a budget, we cannot authorize any new expenditures.
Any other questions for the HR team?
And I just want y'all to keep in mind, we are the messengers on this one. We did not create this language. It's not language we like to enforce. We are simply the messenger.
All right. It
All
looks
right.
like that's it. Thank you very much, Becci and Linc. We appreciate you being here and being the messenger of bad news sometimes.
Hopefully this one's got more good news than bad.
And Shayna, Jessica's also here for her wellness updates. Don't want to skip over her.
Excellent. Thank you for the reminder. I'm a little rusty here. Jessica, welcome.
Good morning, everyone, and happy August. Can everyone hear me all right? I'm not cutting out or anything. Perfect. Well, welcome back. I know that we continue to work throughout the summer months, but there's just something about August that feels a little different as we anticipate the students coming back to campus and the academic year taking off. I want to let you know that we do have our Wellness Wednesdays schedule up through the end of the year, through the end of December. So that is on the Work Life and Wellness calendar, which if you've not visited the HR page over the past couple of months, 2-3 months, it did undergo some reorganization. So Work Life and Wellness has its own tab at the top of the website now, and you can click on that and access the calendar from that drop-down menu. It's at the bottom there. But we are picking up with our Wellness Wednesdays. Today, we have a new session called Awakening the Passion in Your Work and Life. So we have a good number of people signed up for that today. If that's something you want to jump on this afternoon at noon, just send me an email or an email to Total Wellbeing, and I'll send you that information to participate. We also have Paying Off Debt While Building Wealth, August 9th. And Relaxation Micro Moments and Winding Down Techniques. That will be August 16th. And Loving You, Boosting Self-Esteem and Acceptance, August 23rd. So like I said, we do have our sessions posted on the calendar through the end of the year. I can't believe I'm saying that, but you can browse and sign up for those already and see what we have available. For August, we're continuing on with having a monthly financial wellness tip every month. For August, our tip comes from the State Employees Credit Union, and that tip is to beware of scammers. So I know you're highly anticipating the Work Well newsletter coming out this Friday, but there will be an article in there that will share information from the State Employees Credit Union about helping you minimize your risk for being a victim of fraud and scams. So that information will all be there for you. We are also hosting a financial wellness webinars, which we did with SECU in the spring. They'll be joining us this fall, starting August 15th. These are just going to be webinars now. We're not going to invite people to come to AOB. We were unsuccessful with getting people to come to AOB for these lunchtime sessions, because we weren't offering food or any other incentive, but we encourage you to participate on, they will be Tuesdays now, and the topics this fall are going to be buying a home, estate planning, consumer and ID theft, and saving for college. So those will run from August 15th to September 12th for you, with more details coming in that upcoming newsletter. And then I want to remind you that our TIAA financial consultants do come and have appointments on campus in addition to virtual appointments, but they will be on campus quite a bit this fall. They were already here. They had one session at Wilson Library back in July. They have other sessions picking up later this month. So that schedule will be posted in the newsletter as well. But if you have any questions and you want to talk to our representative, his name is Eric. Those on-site appointments will be from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And again, virtual is also an option as well. I'm happy to say that Wellness Champions will be kicking off for its 4th year of new recruits. So if you are interested in joining the Wellness Champions, if you have that passion and interest in strengthening the culture of health at your workplace, please sign up to join us this fall. The recruits and sign up will stay open till August 11th. That's next Friday. And we'll be holding a final interest session. If you want more information about the program, will be this Friday, the 4th at 10 a.m. And you can register just by sending an email to totalwellbeing@unc.edu. And I want to remind you that the Eat Smart, Move More, Weigh Less program, I'm just letting you know I didn't title it. I've gotten a lot of feedback about people not appreciating this name of the program, but it is called Eat Smart, Move More, Weigh Less. And the focus is to emphasize in maintaining or reducing weight to avoid chronic conditions later on in life. These are still going to be offered to you at no cost. It's an online program, 15 weeks. Their fall sessions are open starting in August and September. So if that's something that interests you, please sign up. Again, that will be in the newsletter. Helping Heals, we're kicking off with that again this fall. That will stay open till Sunday, August 13th. If you have an interest in offering childcare, pet care, or senior care, please sign up for that. And then the fall Helping Heals list will be available by the end of the month. That will take us through December. And then just sharing, if you did not get a notice, but the Tar Heel bikes are back. As you know, they sunsetted a while back, but they did come back in late April. So you're going to probably see more students. These are also open to any employee and any visitor on campus to use the Tar Heel bikes. They are managed through the Spin app and offer daily use and monthly use passes. And then your discounts, you may have already seen this come through your email, but there is a faculty and staff appreciation football game on September 16th. Those tickets are discounted to employees, so grab them quick. I'm sure they will fly off the table. I also want to remind you of your computer loan program that is available to you from student stores. If you're not familiar, this is a program that is available to full-time permanent employees of the university, not hospital, that have been with the university or have years of service of at least 6 months. You can purchase a laptop, computer, tablet, accessories with just a 10% deposit and then make additional payments up to 6 months coming out of directly out of payroll deduction. So that does need to happen in person at student stores upstairs, but I wanted to remind you that that's there for you if you're purchasing anything for yourself or any children that you may have going to college. And there are additional tech savings on the Working Advantage website on Lenovo, HP, Dell products. So I encourage you to visit that. And then finally, this is the last one, the University Child Care Center is opening. It's open for fall enrollment with immediate openings for children ages 2 to 5 years old. They're conveniently located by the Friday Center and exclusive for just university and hospital families. They're hosting a curriculum night Thursday, August 17th from 4 to 6 p.m. And you are encouraged to RSVP to their email address at unc@brighthorizons.com. But you can also just pop in and show up very casually, but they are open that Thursday, August 17th for families to come and check out the center. So Arlene, I see you have a question or you're giving me a high five. Thank you.
I have a question. I've been getting some emails about planning for retirement and I don't recognize the return address. So I don't know if it's one of our partners because it's not a UNC address. I'm like, is this spam or is this one of my partners that I don't recognize?
I feel like there has been some spam going out there for that. So if you're not participating in TIA or Fidelity currently, and it's not coming from TIA or for Fidelity, I would delete it. Or if it really did look like phishing or anything like that, to report it.
Okay.
Definitely never share any personal information in email.
It's like, make your appointment. I'm like, I don't recognize you, so I'm going to just delete you.
That's probably the safe way to go about that. Anyone else have any questions? And just remember that I'm here for you. So if there's something that you would like to see in the realm of work, life, and wellness, please let me know what that can be, and I'll try to see what I can do for you all.
Thanks so
Welcome
much,
to-
Jessica.
Thank you, Katie. Good to
I'm
see
back.
everyone. You're back.
I'm back. As always, feel free to send me your updates and I'll share them with delegates so that you all have them to share with your constituencies. Arlene had another question in the chat before you pop off. Do we have Durham Museum discounts? Great question.
Not that I'm aware of. So that's not one I've been holding on to. They've not contacted us. I'm not aware of that discount, but I can certainly reach out to them to see if anything like that exists. And then always, if you learn of a discount, you're going somewhere and you ask, and they do offer discounts to UNC employees or state employees in general, just send me an email and let me know so we can promote that on our website.
Great. All right, folks. Well, I have returned. Little adventure there for a second. The last I heard from Becci was something about regional ranges, which I'm very intrigued about. So I'm excited to go back and watch this meeting on YouTube later. So anyways, thank you all for our HR team updates. Those are great. Next up on the agenda, we have a special presentation. We have a guest here with us today, Justin Miller from the Office of Emergency Management and Planning, here to give us a special announcement. I know some of y'all are eager to hear from him because we worked with Justin last year on a really fun event. So Justin, I'll let you take it away from here.
First off, thank you, Chair Musgrove, for the opportunity to speak with you all today. Before I get started, I wish to remind you all of the emergency preparedness resources available on the Carolina Ready website. We have preparedness guides, information about the safety app, link to the university's emergency action plan, online training, tailored emergency information for instructors, and so much more. The beginning of every semester is a great time to refresh yourself on emergency preparedness information, so you can be informed, be prepared, and ready to take action for any emergency that could occur. Please reach out to the Office of Emergency Management Planning if you have any specific questions. All right, so last year, Campus Safety hosted the Zombie Preparedness Festival and unleashed 20 Hollywood-style zombies on campus, not to eat brains, but to share emergency preparedness information. It was a tremendous success thanks to so many university and local partners, many of which are currently on this call today. And one question that I've been asked many times since last year's festival is, are we doing another one? And the answer is yes, we are having another emergency preparedness festival. Exciting, isn't it? Yes. The festival will be on Tuesday, September 19th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. in the pit. We will have university, local, state, and federal partners staffing tables to take a community approach towards emergency preparedness and education, similar like last year. Also, what I'm especially proud of, there will be some student groups planning to participate as well to showcase their dedication and work towards safety. So our theme, it won't be zombies. Zombies was fun. We did it last year, but our next theme will be just as equally fun and engaging. I'm finalizing a last few more details before I'm ready to share it, but I promise it will be awesome. Similar to last year, we will need actors. Like we had the zombies last year. So these actors will roam the pit and help build that excitement and engagement towards the event. So this year, we're going to need two types of volunteer actors, self-produced and produced. For our self-produced, we're going to assume that many employees on campus have very detailed costumes at home in this theme, and may want to have the opportunity to showcase them on campus and really just to wear them to work. If you don't have a costume, don't worry. We are going to have the same Hollywood makeup artist on hand to transform you within our theme. So if being in costume or makeup isn't your thing, we're also looking for volunteers to help with the event management as well. So in the next week or so, I'm going to work with Mr. Banks to draft an email to this employee forum membership to announce the theme and provide links on how to sign up as an actor or event volunteer. So please stay tuned for more to come. It's going to be very exciting. We're very close to releasing the information. We've got a couple more details, but several of you in the employee forum participated in last year's event, and we hope folks from the employee forum support this year's festival as well, so we can build a community approach towards our campus safety. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Justin. Any questions for Justin apart from like straight up asking him what the theme is going to be this year? Other questions for Justin about the festival?
Have you put in a
Justin, I want to
request
get
for
on. Oh,
cooler
sorry.
weather?
Arlene. Go ahead, Arlene.
Have you put in a request for cooler weather?
We will try. We did not succeed last year, but I'll have a little chat with Mother Nature and see what we can do.
That is not a part of our emergency management plan on campus.
We don't have a plan for that. If the weather's bad, we do. If we will be in the Union's Great Hall if there is rain in the forecast.
Justin, I'm totally sucking up. I want to volunteer. Whoops. I want to volunteer no matter what the theme is, no matter what my role is. Take me now.
We will make sure that I'm gonna take your name down just to make sure that we got you.
Elizabeth Duvos.
Awesome. Well, like Justin said, we'll make sure we get an email out to the delegation to make sure everybody has all the details and can sign up to volunteer or to act in various roles. So we're excited. Liz, I like the wagers in the chat about what the theme's going to be. We got Bridgerton, we got Barbie, we got some guesses in here. We'll see if any of them pan out to be the case.
Expecting in about a week or so that communication will be coming out.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you, Justin. We're eagerly looking forward to that. Keep us on our toes. I love it. Okay. Well, next up on the agenda, we don't have a consent agenda this month. The minutes from June will be delayed until September. So we're just going to move right on into committee updates. As we kick off from the retreat last month, where we kind of met as a committee for the first time, I'd love to hear from all of you all on kind of what's first up and what your committees have kind of going as we roll out for the new year. So just going through all the committees and we'll get updates from everybody. First up on the list is communications and public relations. Shane and Joe are continuing on as chairs of that group. So one of y'all have any updates from that group?
Yeah, I'm trying to actually pull up my OneNote list of what we talked about so I can actually do this in a organized manner. If Joe has that quicker and wants to jump in, I won't say, okay. So I'm really excited about this upcoming year for the PR and Communications Committee. We have a few new people that have experience with communications and making plans for things. So that's really exciting. We've met, we're having our next meeting. We'll be meeting monthly on the third Monday of each month. So our next meeting is going to be the 21st. And one thing, we look forward to setting up is kind of organizing our social media presence, kind of developing a communication plan for what we want to utilize the different social media platforms for, what things you guys what do you want as the forum for the website and the rebranding projects. And then finally actually getting to the podcast and restructuring that and building that out and start recording new episodes. So lots of exciting things coming up, and yeah, it's gonna be cool.
Great, thanks, Shane. Anybody that was not able to attend the retreat is interested in joining any of these committees, please reach out to the new committee chairs and express interest so you can get on the invites for those meetings moving forward. All right, next up, we've got the book club, which is going to be co-chaired this year by Vanessa Blake and Natalia Neal. Any updates from the book club? Neither of them on their call. I know that there's going to be an announcement about the September book coming out soon, if I'm not correct, right, Matt?
Natalia was on earlier, not sure.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, Natalia.
I'm just not up to speed on what the next book is. I just kind of came on during the retreat, so I know that we'll be posting some updates in the next In Touch.
Awesome, that sounds great. Thanks, Natalia. Next up, we've got community service. We've got new leadership for that group. Ali Wardell and Teresa Silsby are going to co-chair that group this year. Any updates from the community service committee, Ali or Teresa?
We had our first meeting yesterday. And again, I'll reiterate, if you didn't get a Zoom invite from me or would like to join the committee, please feel free to reach out to me or Teresa, and I'll be sure to get you added. We're going to be meeting monthly for that committee to start out with, and we don't have any immediate updates, but we are going to look to repeat some of the service opportunities that we did from last year, including the Carolina Cupboard Food Drive, family sponsorships. We did kids last year, and maybe we were thinking about expanding and trying to do more opportunities with both kids and elders. Through the departments of social services in Orange County. And we thought about maybe trying to expand that to counties outside of Orange County, as some employees are from Alamance County and other counties in the area. Also, we're going to look to repeat a March Kindness Drive with a charity to be finalized at a later date. But there were some great suggestions yesterday. And yeah, those are the main three things that we started discussing.
Excellent. Subcommittees of community service. We've got Carolina Blood Drive. I see Laura is on the call. Laura and Renata are going to co-chair that blood drive committee this year. So take it away, Laura.
Good morning, sunshines. Happy to see everyone today. For those that I don't know, I'm Laura Pratt. And I'm super excited to be working with Renata to chair the Carolina Blood Drive. Keith, I see you. I want to plug our very first planning meeting. It will be next Monday, August 14th at noon. If you were expecting a calendar invite from me and you had not received one, send me an email. I will throw my email in the chat. We can talk about it. But in the meantime, go ahead and save the date. Thursday, December 7th. Okay, I just had to lay eyes on it, so it wasn't crazy. Thursday, December 7th is going to be our holiday Carolina Blood Drive over at Fetzer Gym. It's going to be a fabulous day. It's not going to snow. It's going to be great. So that's all.
Awesome. Thanks, Laura. Next up, we've got the Carolina Community Garden Subcommittee. Arlene is going to continue liaisoning for that committee.
At this point, I'm wondering if I'll ever leave that committee unless it's boots first. I enjoy it so much.
Yes.
If you have not answered the garden survey, this is your last chance because it's about to close. There was a 10% response rate, which, if you know anything about surveys, that is a really good response rate. And once the surveys are all completed, then there will be a random drawing for the t-shirt, and I think it's t-shirt and honey or honey. I don't remember now. So
awesome. Great. Thank you for that, Arlene. Hopefully we'll get out to the garden sometime this year for an employee forum day. So those of you who are not green thumbs like me, even I didn't kill anything. So you can go out and get some gardening practice in and
As a gardener, I'm a great photographer.
yes, there are jobs for everyone. They literally had me water some logs a couple years ago. I guess there's a point to it, but it felt real stupid. But you know, there's fun things to happen for everybody out there. All right, next up, we've got diversity, equity, and inclusion. We've got new leadership on that committee as well this year. So Rebecca Howell and Lori Shamblin are going to co-chair that group. Rebecca or Lori, any updates from DEI?
No major updates yet. We are meeting, Lori and I and Julie are meeting next week to discuss our first meeting. And so we have that meeting coming up soon. So hopefully at the next executive meeting, we'll have more information for you.
Excellent. Thanks, Rebecca. All right, next up, we've got education and career development. Some halfway new leadership on this committee this year. We've got Ellie Alexander and Siobhan Carey Hicks are going to co-chair this group. Laura, thanks for all your help in the past on this group. I know that you've got some other plans this fall with some babies, and that's way more important. So you already have a baby at home too, so yeah. All right, so updates from Ellie or Siobhan on education and career development.
Just indeed, thank you, Laura, for heading up the committee for so many years. Appreciate it. So Siobhan can't be here today, but I will give updates. We've wrapped up Carolina Family Scholarship, which we'll talk a little bit more about at the end of the meeting, and professional development grants. Everybody has been notified about those. We've received a record number of professional development grant applications this year. So thanks for everybody that applied, and please apply again if you didn't receive one. General updates, the committee had its first meeting yesterday, which I had to bail on and last minute for a family emergency thing, but Siobhan headed it up, and just sort of general things the committee is beginning to talk about are sort of orientation currently at the university, how current and new employees feel about that, what they feel they would like to see if it's not in the program itself, the fact that it's currently still on Zoom. All these things have just sort of come up, and we might be trying to poll folks about that. The other thing is onboarding in general, but also training, job-specific training at the university, and that it is lacking, and how we may address it going forward. So these are just general topics. If you're interested in them, please send me an email, be added to the meetings if you feel so inclined. We are currently meeting the first Tuesday of each month. So yeah, that's, I think, it for education and career development.
Awesome. As Ellie said, we'll talk a little bit more about Carolina Family Scholarship at the end of the meeting. But thank you both for your help leading that effort. Membership and assignments, Tiffany Carver and Keith Hines are continuing to work on that effort. Any updates from Tiffany or Keith?
Good morning. I was not at the retreat, sadly. Puerto Rico called and I answered, so but I do want to welcome, we do have a new member, Catherine Neer, so do want to welcome her to the committee, and any others that I may have missed. I do know that I got an email from her specifically, so if there's someone that I may have missed an email from, please forgive me, and just let Keith and I know that you would like to participate on the committee. I do want to say we're just here to support you guys. So all of the other chairs of committees, if you need any assistance getting participation on your committees, let our committee know and we can be helpful with that. And then also, now that we are starting to do a little more in-person things, maybe we can look at, having one of our socials for one of our meetings. I know we had discussed that prior to, so just bringing that back up. So we'll schedule a meeting about that and maybe, chat and get something going for that. But for right now, we're pretty chill and no other updates that I know of. Keith, do you have anything from the retreat?
I know there was one other, Charlie.
Oh, that's right, Charlie.
Is wanting to join the
Charlie
committee.
Rice.
Love me some coffee.
And that's really all I have.
Awesome. And then tentatively for all of the folks on membership and assignments, we have set our December and June meetings as tentatively in person. So we can do in-person socials and get-togethers on months that students aren't around as much. So we have the run of the campus. So more to come on that, but looking forward to that. Just scrolling through the chat, making sure I didn't miss anything. There's a plug for DEI in there for those interested, so check that out. All right, next up, we've got Personnel Issues Committee. Leah Hefner is continuing as co-chair of the group, and we're still finalizing the other co-chair of the group. So in the meantime, Leah, any updates from Personnel Issues?
The most imminent thing that we're going to be working on is the resolution to make Juneteenth an official holiday for the university. For those who don't know, each university has some flexibility in which specific holidays employees have off. And so we were wanting to propose that we swap what is traditionally known as the spring holiday for Juneteenth. So we'll be working on that very soon, and that resolution will be ready for the September General Forum meeting. Just the other issues that we have continued to follow are affordable housing, progress on the Women's Center. What was the other big one? Data privacy, compensation, recruitment retention is always a big thing. So these are topics, if you did not come to the retreat, if you did not come to our committee during the retreat, and these topics interest you, please reach out to me. I've heard from several of you via email. And we would love to have you join us. We meet monthly at a minimum, and we don't have a set date like most other committees. We just look at everybody's calendar who is a primary member of this committee, and then we just try to find time that most people are available. Some other topics that I'll mention that came up for those who did come to the committee meeting during the retreat. There was desire to look into the School of Medicine conversions that are taking place, and also how EOC investigations are conducted. So again, if those are topics that you have feelings about or want to learn more about, please reach out to me and join our committee.
Awesome. Thanks, Leah. And for all of those folks on this call that weren't at the retreat and you are interested in policy or advocacy in any fashion, I highly recommend Personnel Issues as a great outlet for those energies. So please do join that group if you're interested. Next committee on the list, we got recognition and awards, some new leadership there as well. We got Charlie Rice and Gabriela De La Cruz that are going to lead up that effort this year. This committee is one of our more seasonal ones. I doubt that there's any updates, but Charlie or Gabriela, any updates from y'all's committee?
We have our first meeting today at 1, just to check in, and we have Tiffany giving us like a synopsis of what this consists of, because I still don't know, but yeah. Yeah, that's all I have to report. I don't know if Gab is on here.
Awesome. Thanks, folks. That sounds great. Next up, we've got our Rules Committee, which is chaired by our parliamentarian, Jacob Womack. Jacob, any updates from the Rules Committee, which I would assume is going to house our bylaws revisions process that's starting to go underway?
Yeah, right now what we have is kind of a working shared document on the rules channel under the employee forums teams. There's also a document under files that's kind of just more of a catch-all, trying to cover areas. So the bylaws revision, feel free to go in there. I think if you're part of our team, I think if you're on the teams, you have the ability to get in there, access it, make suggestions, make comments. We're working through it as we go. If you have just kind of more generalized ideas, throw that into the document that we've got, which is more just kind of governance changes, electoral process changes was kind of what it was called when it was first started, because that's what it was. It has now grown into several other things that might be addressed by the bylaws. And that's more in case you've got suggestions or questions, and more of a kind of a living document for discussion. You can also start conversations in there if you want, but I understand that if you're like me, you have entirely too many teams and teams channels. So maybe don't jump. I don't know. I would love your input, but I also understand that we're all stretched rather thin.
I hate Teams. It's great. It's awful. Thank you, Jacob, for those updates there. Next up on the list, we've got UNC System Staff Assembly. Shayna, Keith, James, myself, and then Lisa is our alternate. Any updates from the group? We did meet last week, so I'm sure somebody has some updates.
Who's going first?
Keith, I vote Keith.
It was a wonderful day of festive t-shirts, if I do say so myself. Well, the meeting took place in Winston-Salem at Winston-Salem State University this time around. Fairly good meeting. We are entering into a phase where we are doing some bylaws changes and some procedural updates to things for the staff assembly, and it is going to be done by committee. This is really the biggest thing that came out of it. It is going to be done by committee. One representative from each of the 17 institutions will be taking part in that. And to start out with, I am going to be the representative from UNC-Chapel Hill to sit on this. That is what's happening. We did get HR updates from the system, and it's really not any updates that you all don't have now at this point. Thanks to Becci. I will say this, I know she's gone off the call, but big shout out to Becci, because one of the consistent things that we hear from staff assembly is that not all 17 institutions get information the same way. The other 16 most likely do not get the information as timely as we do, or in as much abundance as we do, if they get it at all. So tremendous thank you to Becci and Linc for always keeping us in the loop with the good news and the bad. Shayna, I'm gonna let you jump in because I know there's other stuff that I am forgetting. We will have more updates from the October one when that time comes, because we will be swearing in a new chair named Shayna Hill.
We're so excited about that. So excited. Shayna, any words from you?
Oh, thank you, Keith. I think you pretty much covered it. I am stepping in the second day of the October meeting to represent all 17 campuses across the system. I will be speaking to the Board of Governors. I want to hear from each and every one of you. I want to be able to give substantive comments and things that are super important to you guys. And there are some consistent themes across campus, so please don't be shy. You can always email me and let me know what's on your mind, and I will be sure to try to include those comments to the Board of Governors.
Great. Also, I'll point out for those of you who ran to be one of our delegates on the staff assembly, there's also elections coming up in October to serve on the executive committee. And you can actually do that even if you're not one of the system schools delegates. If you're interested in participating in the staff assembly, there's at-large delegate positions open. There's executive officer positions like the vice chair and secretary and all those other things. So if you're really interested in taking on a role at the staff assembly level, please feel free to reach out to Shayna, Keith, myself, if you're interested in potentially signing up or nominating someone for one of those roles. Awesome. Okay. Speaking of the staff assembly, the Chancellor's Cup Golf Tournament is coming up in September. Shayna and I are helping at the staff assembly level with that. We'll have more details soon about volunteer opportunities for UNC's hole. They are limiting us to 5 volunteers per hole this year, which is sad. We had such a party last year with a group of people. I'm hoping to replicate that somehow this year within the confines of that we're being set out. don't know if we just go rogue and just send more people. We'll see. We'll talk about that. But have that on your calendars. It is on September, oh Lord, 26th. Is that right? It's on a Tuesday.
Yeah, that's it.
that right?
The 26th. It's the
It's
26th.
in Greensboro this year at Bryan Park Golf Course. So yeah,
So
go ahead, Keith.
just one thing, yeah, if you do want to participate in the UNC whole, just let us know. I know that Katie said that they're limiting us to 5, but if there are 15 of you that want to help and participate in this, just let us know, because we had 12 to 15 people last year, and it was a good time. Maybe it was too good of a time, but we'll do it again. But
I
no,
think that's
seriously,
why
let us
they
know.
limited us to 5. Like, I think that was because we had too much fun. I think we were at fault.
Yeah, it was me.
Yeah.
But no, seriously, if we will figure out a way. We will figure out. We're not going to turn people away from this opportunity, because the opportunity, what the golf tournament goes towards is scholarships that are given to staff. So that's what the money raised goes for. And I think another $75,000, and the scholarship fund is endowed even further, and we could award up to $10,000 a year in perpetuity, is basically what we're doing. So we are not going to turn away people from helping us raise this money that is going to go to staff. And if we have more people and we get yelled at, I can take it. Like, I get yelled at every meeting we go to, so don't worry about it. So if you really do want to volunteer, Annetta Street, I know you coming. So just let us know.
And I did have several folks reach out when I talked about this opportunity at the retreat. I had several folks reach out and identified that they were interested, and I know it was more than 5. So we're going to make sure we include y'all in some shape or fashion. So we'll talk about that and have more details at our September meeting for those of you who are interested. One committee that I accidentally left off this list is the executive committee, and I do have a couple updates from that group. So our first executive committee meeting of the year is later in August. At that meeting, we're going to be finalizing our annual report. So I encourage every single delegate on this call, whether you were at the retreat or not. We spent some time at the retreat looking at our challenges from the past year and goals for the coming year. We didn't really finish that effort. So if you'd like to go into that document and add to those thoughts on challenges and goals, please feel free. So it's under the retreat planning document on Teams. So if you need help finding that, let me know. But please do go in and add your thoughts on that front, so we can work on finalizing those in the executive committee in a couple weeks. Another project that we kind of started at the retreat is the forum timeline revision project, and kind of trying to get that in a better working shape. I figured we could house that kind of ad hoc project under the executive committee as well. So for those of you who kind of signed up to work on that project, if y'all, we'll make sure we get you added to the executive committee invites, so that you can provide updates on that project and where it stands in a couple weeks. And we appreciate your efforts to kind of work on that and streamline that process for us. Okay, as a reminder, at the retreat every year, we select both our forum committee chairs for the year and our university committee representatives. So we do that every single year. Gives opportunity for folks who are interested in stepping up and leading the groups an opportunity to do so. We are always making sure that we engage as many delegates as possible. So this year we've got all of our committee chairs set from that process. If for some reason you weren't at the retreat and did not express your committee preferences in advance as requested in the email before the retreat, please feel free to reach out and we'll figure out some sort of arrangement to make sure that you're serving on the various executive or various employee forum committees and university committees as necessary. So on that front, university committee representatives named for the year are listed on our agenda. The first one is Building and Grounds. James Stamey is in his, I think, second year of a 3-year term. So James, are you on the call?
I am.
Awesome. Any updates from Building and Grounds?
We had one small item come up for email vote just last week. It is for 2 small signs around Craig parking deck. There was some artwork commissioned earlier this summer, and Ackland Museum will be taking it as a part of their permanent collection. And the 2 small signs would have a QR code referring back to the artwork at Ackland Museum. We haven't had any in-person meetings this summer. We are going to start back. I mean, not in person. We haven't had any meetings this summer. We are going to try to meet in person for the first time since COVID, maybe in September or October, but we will resume regular meetings. The meetings will be changed from the second Thursday of the month to the first Thursday of the month. But we'll still keep the time of 3:30 to 5 on those Thursdays. So that's all I have. Hopefully we'll have more next month, more agenda items.
So thanks so much, James. Next
Hey,
up.
Katie.
Yeah, go ahead, Keith.
Just one thing, if anyone is interested, the celebration for that art installation that is on Craig Deck is on Wednesday, September the 20th at 11 o'clock, and it is open to the public. It's going to be right there on that corner of the corner of Paul Hardin and Manning Drives, right there at Craig Deck.
Great. All right, next up, we've got Policy Review Committee. Matt Teal and June Weston are kind of co-chairs of that group this year and liaisons to that committee. Matt, June, any updates from that group?
Hi, everyone. Yeah, we had a great meeting in July. It was our first in-person meeting since March of 2020. So we covered a lot of different topics. There were updates on, in particular, one I want to highlight is we've updated the campus security camera, or what used to be called the CCTV policy. So this just sort of articulates where on campus the university will put up cameras and where it won't. So trying to balance privacy with the need for public safety. So that's the first time that policy has been touched in 13 years. So it's great to get that overhauled. For those of you more on the research side, there's a new policy and standard on clinical research administrative data. So we worked with the Office of Vice Chancellor for Research to publish rules around the university's clinical research administrative data system called Encore. So if you know what Encore is and that applies to you, definitely check that out. And then we have apparently the NCAA has a policy on campus sexual violence, and we've been complying with that, but we didn't have it in policy. So now we have a policy about our compliance with the NCAA policy. So Elizabeth Hall came and presented that. And then, yeah, so just a good turnout. And again, we meet monthly. So our next meeting is August 17th.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Matt. Next up, Advisory Committee on Transportation and Parking. Keith and I are continuing to serve on that group. We have a meeting sometime in August. I think we did not meet in July, so no real updates on that, although we're continuing to work on our 5-year plan and hope to have that to BOT. I think it's sometime in the spring, if I'm remembering correctly, Keith, is that right? Okay. So more to come on that. We are doing our best to advocate for lowering the parking costs for especially our lowest paid employees, and advocating for changes that are necessary to our transportation and parking system. Awesome. Parking appeals. Tiffany Carver and Charlie Rice are serving on that. Any updates from that group?
Not as of yet. You know, Chrissy stepped away, and so Austin had reached out and been in contact. So I think they were going to touch base, but Chrissy will probably post some kind of update in Teams, and then we'll figure out what that transition looks like as far as who will chair that committee. So I'm just kind of waiting on that update.
Awesome. Yeah, I believe she's trying to get the student representation back because
Yeah.
that kind of fell off during COVID. So trying to reformulate that committee and get that back off the ground. So it's not just our 2 employee forum folks serving.
Right, as well as faculty, because the faculty folks had kind of stepped away as well for various reasons. And so, yeah, fun times.
Reconstituting the committee from the ground up so that we get some help to our 2 employee forum liaisons to that group.
Yes.
Awesome. Student Source Advisory Committee. We've got David Bragg continuing, and then Stephanie Morales as a new co-chair for that, serving as liaisons for the employee forum to Student Source Advisory Committee. Any updates from David or Stephanie?
No update. We have not met. I expect our first meeting to happen for this school year. Usually it's in mid to late September or early October.
Awesome. And for all of these committees we've talked about thus far, university committees, at least one person is continuing that was on it last year. I will need to make sure I facilitate getting the newer folks on those committees. So more to come on that in August. I was busy with vacation in late July after the retreat, so I have not turned to that yet, but more to come on getting those new folks that have signed up to liaise with these committees soon. Speaking of which, Carolina Peer Support Collaborative, we had Gabriela De La Cruz, Natalia Neal sign up to be our 2 liaisons for that. And again, I will promise to make sure I make those connections to get y'all in that group soon. So no real updates because I have not done that work yet. DEI Council, as one of the co-chairs of our DEI committee, Lori Shamblin is going to serve as our liaison to the DEI Council. Again, I'll make sure I make that connection with the DEI Council to get you onto that group. Let's see here, EOC Policy Advisory Group, Jonah Hodge signed up for that. Again, we have not met in the past year or 2, but again, I will reach out and connect Jonah with the folks that put me on that committee previously to make sure that that is our employee forum liaison there. Generative AI Committee, Matt Teal and myself are serving on that, and there's been a lot of activity there. Matt, I don't know if you want to provide the updates from that since I was not able to attend the last meeting.
Sure. So we've got, let me just pull up my notes on that. So we have the co-chairs of the committee have finalized which it's Katie, myself, Rick Warnowski from Operational Excellence. We've prepared a draft set of guidelines, which are best practices and recommendations, not policy for now. So we're convening a full subcommittee meeting Monday, August 7th. So next Monday, I believe from 4 to 5 p.m. And then the second session is August 23rd. And then after that, we should have a finalized set of guidelines to go out to campus. And this is looking at the implications and impact of things like ChatGPT on administrative functions at the university. So HR, finance, IT, development, just trying to get some guardrails around how we use it without being overly prescriptive.
And I believe there's also interest in hosting staff trainings around use of AI, like they're doing for faculty. I believe our focus is trying to get the guidance for staff out first before we host those trainings. So more to come on that as well. Okay, thank you for that, Matt. Tuition and Fee Advisory Task Force and Student Fee Advisory Subcommittee, TFAT and SFAS as they're commonly known. Tracy, as our treasurer, has served on that group as my kind of proxy for the past year or two. So I would assume she's going to continue in that role as she is our treasurer again this year. So that group begins work in earnest sometime soon. I think it's usually mostly in September. So Tracy and I will make sure we get out updates to y'all about our involvement in that group. I don't think Tracy is on the call today. No, but we will make sure we get updates for that. Okay. That is committee updates. That was a lot. We've got a lot to get up off the ground this year as we begin our work. So please do reach out, committee chairs or even committee members, if you need any assistance as we begin our committee work for the year. And looking forward to seeing all the committee chairs at executive committee later this month to move forward with all of that work. Awesome. We don't have any old business. Continuing from the summer, some new business to tackle. The first thing I wanted to do is kind of do some recognition of our Carolina Family Scholarship recipients that were named in the past couple of weeks. So first off, I'm just gonna kind of read out the names of the individuals that were selected to receive these scholarships. So we've got several folks that are going to be attending UNC-Chapel Hill in their pursuit, in their use of these scholarships. Those 5 individuals are as follows. We've got Elise Benware, Truman Chamberlain, Sarah Day, Seth Hall, and Samrika Joshi. So those 5 individuals will be here at UNC-Chapel Hill as Tar Heels. So we're welcoming them and congratulating them on their scholarships. We've got 3 other scholarships that were awarded to go to other UNC system schools. One to NC State University, that's Thanda Kai. We've got one going to UNC Charlotte, and that is Nizai Davis. And then we've got one going to UNC Wilmington, and that's Graham Amy. So congratulations to all of our recipients of the Carolina Family Scholarship. Well deserved. I know we had several applicants this year, but while I recognize these recipients, I also want to give a huge shout out to Ellie and to Laura for leading the efforts in the Carolina Family Scholarship and the professional development grants, which is always a really heavy lift. Really just a huge kudos to those ladies and to Matt Banks, who helps process and award these recipients and notify even the non-recipients, which the list was quite long for both of the Carolina Family Scholarship and professional development grants this year. So really just a huge kudos to y'all on this effort. And it's such an important piece of what the Employee Forum does and offers on the education and career development piece of the puzzle. So thank you very, very much. And Ellie and Laura, we just love you and thank you so much. It's going to be great to have Ellie leading the show with Siobhan Carey Hicks this year. Laura, we will miss you on that effort, but look forward to having you back after your maternity leave and continuing with the blood drive things. So awesome. Congratulations. Thanks everybody for that. Okay, next up on the agenda, we've got planning for our fall 2023 community meeting. So we have not had a community meeting in the past academic year. So it's time for us to bring back a community meeting. And I wanted to kind of poll the body on some themes and some things that you guys wanted to focus on for a community meeting this year and potentially set out a potential date or time and a format for what we want to do this year. So at this point, I'm going to kind of open up conversation on this topic. Really, any thoughts, ideas, or things that you find really pressing and important that we want to focus on to bring in staff community to talk about this year. I welcome ideas from this group on where we want to focus our efforts this fall. Arlene.
Unmute. This is just putting it as a possibility. Do we want to discuss the changes to healthcare?
I think that that's a hot topic, especially with the change in plan administrator coming next year. And there's always in general questions around our state health plan. And especially I think in the past couple of weeks, there's more questions coming up given the state budget concerns expressed by the treasurer of not fully funding the state health plan. And again, we don't have a formal budget yet, so we don't know 100% that that's going to be the case. But if it is the case, there's definitely things that we would want to bring forward on that. So changes in the state health plan.
I really want to second that because it is much on everybody's mind, whether they want it to be or not. Yeah. And it's a really great opportunity also for Employee Forum itself to connect with staff and say, we are hopefully a productive conduit of information both ways, in bringing your concerns up and finding ways that we can get the information effectively to you in the role we have. So thanks for bringing that up, Arlene.
And we have done something similar in the past where we had a panel come out and it was a really well-received community meeting. Shana, I believe you were chair at the time, but we had Treasurer Falwell and several folks from like UNC Healthcare and others come out and talk about the state health plan. And it was around the Clear Pricing Project, but that is still a pressing part of our state health plan. And there's other kind of changes that we could build into this. So maybe potentially a panel format like we did last time would work well. I think also including scenic representatives who are helping to advocate on our behalf for state employees on this front to make sure that all state employees, including university employees, have access to this important benefit across the state. So Treasurer Falwell, Artis Watkins, potentially some UNC healthcare leadership, potentially, oh gosh, what's his name? The president, Burke.
Hans.
No,
Matthew.
Something Burke, Dr. Burke.
No, he wasn't on it. He sent Matthew. I can't remember.
He sent a delegate for him, but we could invite Dr. Burke to serve as president of the UNC Healthcare. He's still president, correct? Is that the right title? Of UNC Healthcare?
Yes.
I think so.
And also we had the faculty chair.
That's right. So we can invite Beth, and Beth would provide a great lens for that as well, because she is in the public health sphere. So that's another probably positive addition to this. Any other votes beyond this theme? Because there's a lot of important things out there. So I don't want to completely just unilaterally decide that this is going to be our topic, but I want to hear from folks to see if there's anything else you wanted to focus on instead of this. I mean, we could always potentially have a second community meeting in the spring to talk about a different topic. Annette, I see your hand up.
Yeah, given the update that Becci provided this morning, just around the changes in laws around affirmative action, would that be a good topic for, is the format of this meeting somewhat of a town hall where you all will receive questions from the audience? Okay.
So we've had it formatted in several different ways in past. Sometimes we've had a town hall where folks have brought forward questions to a panel of folks. So we could definitely do something on that front. I think that is definitely a very timely conversation. I wonder if this fall we're going to have enough substantive updates from the administration on where we stand with it. And maybe it's a question of maybe doing one in the early spring to talk about preparing for the admission cycle that would unfold in the spring, and have staff have the ability to ask questions of our administration and even maybe the system administration on our policies towards these changes. That's a great theme to keep in mind. I'm going to call it Students for Fair Admissions case. All right. Other topics that y'all want to see us kind of host a conversation with staff about?
I'm sorry, I may have missed this, but I think Lisa, did you get a chance to report on the Royster scholarship?
I haven't, but I can wait until everything else is done if you want.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
So we've met a couple times for that scholarship, and we should have an update very soon because applications will be opening up within the next 2 weeks. So there will be some good changes hopefully coming to the Janet Royster scholarship, and we will have an email that will be going out that will be UNC-Chapel Hill specific that I will probably, if okay with Katie, I'll probably send to you for you to distribute to all of us. But we are working on a new email with updates that will be voted on, I believe, on the 7th or 8th.
I think it's the 8th.
Committee. Okay, yeah, so it should be voted on the executive committee, but there should be some good positive changes coming with that, and then applications should be opening up on the 15th.
Awesome. We'll look forward to getting that information out to folks so y'all can nominate folks for the Janet B. Royster scholarship. It's great.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so we've got 2 topics. What are maybe like a quick poll of the group of which one we want to take on in the fall and maybe which one we push and talk about in the spring. So who feels strongly that we want to take on the changes in the state health plan in the fall and do that first? Maybe a raise.
Hey, Katie.
Go ahead.
Katie.
Yeah.
Before we vote, can you reiterate what the 2 are? So
The 2
people
are
know.
the changes in the state health plan topic, and the Students for Fair Admissions case fallout is the other conversation that is pressing and relevant to campus community right now. So really just deciding the timeline of when we do each of those, because I think both of them would be great for community meetings. And typically we would have a community meeting just replace one of our full body meetings throughout the year. So that just for folks' reference could be the format we typically do for the community meetings.
Katie, can I ask another clarifying question?
Yes.
The changes to the health plan, are those supposed to take effect January 1, 2024? Or
25.
25.
Okay, so we have a little bit of time on that one.
Yes. Yes. The fallout of the potential increases to the premiums might occur earlier, given it just is dependent on the budget and where the budget stands in how much it's funding the state health plan. So that might be more like time sensitive, but even that, I feel like the fallout of that and the changes to the premiums wouldn't occur until January. So yeah, it could go either way. It's tough. Both of these are important, but both of them we might not know enough about in the fall, but we also, yeah. I think there's arguments both ways to have each of them in the fall and to have each of them instead in the spring. So
Can I weigh in on this?
yes.
So we tried very hard to get a proclamation about the compelled speech, and for reasons I won't go into, that was tabled. I was not a part of that decision. And now it's law, apparently. Am I correct on that?
You're correct.
And what I noticed about the writing of the actual law is it was completely identical to the policy change at UNC. So clearly there was some collaboration between the Board of Governors and the legislature on that. And given the Supreme Court ruling, the compelled speech policy and then law, and then the requesting of information about what we're spending on DEI. I truly feel like that is something that is enormous and concerning. And I would just like to see some kind of discussion about that sooner than later. Because I think it's going to change the landscape of what we look like in the very near future. And that concerns me. So if, and I think we have until October 24 when we have to make health insurance decisions. So I'm a little more concerned in the immediate future about all these changes.
Yeah.
Just my opinion.
Great point. Okay. So we're going to take a quick poll of folks, the two community meeting themes on the table, which one we want to do in the fall, first and foremost, and then we would table the other one to the spring. So who strongly feels that we should do the changes to the state health plan as the theme for our fall 2023 community meeting, with the knowledge that the other would happen in the spring? So a raise of hands and give us a few moments to tally the number of people for that.
Yeah, I can put together a quick poll if you like.
That would be perfect.
Okay.
And then just state it as like, who wants the fall meeting to be, and then the options are the state health plan changes, and then the other is the students for fair admission / compelled speech conversation.
And Katie, I just jumped back in because I was presenting at another meeting. State health plan changes take effect which plan year?
So the changes to the state health plan administrator to Aetna, that process happens in 2025. So in the 2024 open enrollment period is when we'll start feeling those effects, so October 2024. But there's also potential changes around premiums depending on what the state budget looks like in its funding of the state health plan this year. So like there's two different kind of timelines we're working with there.
Okay, thank you.
And then obviously the students for fair admission and the compelled speech things are happening as we speak, and we are still trying to figure out what the fallout of that is.
Got it. Thank you.
I think that's ready.
Awesome. So Matt's going to get out that poll shortly. So feel free to just vote which one you want to happen in the fall is going to be the poll, knowing the other one will push off to the spring. All right, we're at 72% participation. We'll give another minute or so for folks to respond who have not yet already. We're at 80% participation. We've got 10 folks who have yet to vote. Maybe another 30 seconds to vote on that. Okay, we're at 85% participation. Last call for votes. All right, I'm closing out the poll now. All right, results look like we've got narrowly a vote for the affirmative action compelled speech conversation to happen in the fall of 2023 with a state health plan changes town hall to take place in the spring of 2024 instead. So I think that that's great. We'll move forward with those two themes in mind. For those who are interested in kind of helping plan these two community meetings, again, I think that special project will kind of be housed under the executive committee. Keith, I'm going to lean on you to help me with getting these off the ground. I know I helped Shayna quite a bit on implementing the last couple of community meetings as vice chair under her. So I hope that you can help me to do these as well. Again,
Yeah,
format wise, I'm open to whatever we think is going to be the most effective to house a conversation that's effective. We've had Dawn Osborne Adams come out and help facilitate several of our community meetings, and she's been great. We might call on her, ask her for her assistance in this, because it also is probably going to be a pretty thorny conversation, and we want to make sure it's a productive one that engages staff in the conversation, but also leads to productive outcomes. So,
and Katie, if the School of Social Work, I mean, it was a great location last time. So if you guys want to consider that, I can definitely, once we get dates, put that on the radar of our team at the School of Social Work, just in case.
Do a hybrid meeting again, where we have folks who can join via Zoom and or join in person instead. And again, I am open to having this replace one of our monthly meetings, or it can be in addition to our monthly meetings. I think we might want to do it in addition to our monthly meetings, with the knowledge that we're kind of limited to our Wednesday schedule, and that might not work as well for a community meeting. Okay. Well, more to come on this conversation around the community meeting and planning these two themes for the coming year. If you're interested in that conversation, our executive committee meetings are open to all delegates, regardless of if you're on the executive committee or not. And we encourage folks to come out and work on that planning process with us, which we'll do in the executive committee meetings. Okay. I think we've got good progress there. We'll talk about date and time preferences for both of these and formats for both of these in our executive committee meetings. Okay, last up, announcements and questions section of our agenda. Again, as I mentioned earlier in the meeting, our June minutes were delayed, so we'll have those available along with the minutes from today's meeting in September. Our next Vice Chancellor Representatives meeting is going to be in September. The date is in the agenda. We'll send out the typical Qualtrics in late August to get questions or feedback that we want to share with the VCs. Tiffany, your hand's up.
Yeah, my announcement, I don't know if it got lost in the chat or not, but I did not get any responses or messages. If you only have your first name or you have your device name listed, please, I tried to send a chat to ask you who you were or to verify your last name. We have multiple Jacobs, multiple Michaels, multiple Sarahs. So, so please do check your chat and let me know and just respond to my chat, please, for attendance purposes. That's why I'm asking.
Great, thanks, Tiffany. Let's see. Yeah, Keith, you're right. The last one was fully virtual when we discussed the return to campus. I believe that was the last one. The state health plan we did was hybrid. I think that was before the return to campus conversation. Yeah, and then about 500 people registered for it. Yeah, we've had great participation in our last few community meetings, both the The state health plan one was very well attended, both in person and virtually. And then also the return to campus one was very well attended as well. Awesome. As I kind of hinted at in the chat earlier in the conversation, the football game that's the employee appreciation game that Jessica mentioned is Saturday, September 16th versus Minnesota. Kickoff time is at 3:30 p.m. We do have feelers out there to work with athletics again on getting tickets to employee forum delegates and their families, combined with on-field recognition for the employee forum and the work that we do annually. Keith has been working on that for us. So Keith, if you have updates on that front.
Yes, so I talked with Michael yesterday, so it has been confirmed. It is going to be the March 16th game, and it is still the same format, up to 4 tickets per person. That includes yourself, so you get a total of 4. So Matt, I'm going to lean on Matt for a little help. We're going to send out a Qualtrics survey and then have that returned. And once I get all of that, I will turn it over to Michael, and he will email each person directly about their tickets. So I guess I'm going to give you about a week, I guess, to figure out if you and your family or whoever are going to attend. It is March 16th. The game is at 3:30. We are playing Minnesota. It should actually be a pretty good game. And
March 16th.
Then
September 16th.
I was like, wait.
September. I don't know. Somebody wrote March 16th in the chat and I read March 16th. It is September the 16th. My apologies. Is there a registration link?
So we're going to get the
Matt is going to
later
send
this-
out a Qualtrics sheet, and once that's filled out, once you submit that, it's going to come to me and Matt. I'm going to take it, correlate it, and send it to Michael Beal in athletics, and then Michael is going to take every one of those email addresses, and if you registered for 2 tickets, he is going to email you a link to where you go to get your 2 tickets. If you did 4, he'll send, the link will correspond to whatever you requested. So yes, so hopefully we can get that out today and have it close next Thursday. It's fine. Because I need
It'll go
2 to
out
3
today or
weeks.
tomorrow. It'll go out today or tomorrow, yeah. And be open for a week. The other piece of the puzzle is the recognition on the fields. That typically takes Michael a little longer to get back to us on when that's going to happen. If it's going to be pregame, if it's going to be at halftime, like it just depends on various things in their run of show of when our on-field recognition will be. But details about when and where to meet for that, for those that are coming, will get sent out to delegates probably in the week or so leading up to the game. So just be on the lookout for that and know that we may need to get there early if we are assigned a pregame recognition time slot. And that actually, I'm kind of hoping we do, because we did that last year and it was great because we got to stay out on the field for them running out of the tunnel, and that was super fun. So TBD on when that will be, and we'll get you all those details for those that are coming later. Keith, thank you for all of your efforts to coordinate this. We always love a good football game in Keenan in the fall. So looking forward to convening with all of y'all who are football fans and getting to recognize to 60,000 Screaming Tar Heel fans the work that the Employee Forum does. So yay, fun. All right. The date for the football game is Rosh Hashanah, or the date for the
Football games, Rosh Hashanah. That's the second thing here, and there's 2 conferences I have to attend for some reason, both of them that are on that same weekend. It's starting to give me a nice big kosher headache.
Oh, I'm so sorry. But yeah,
Okay, well, I mean, I'm reading the chat. They're not gonna change the football game. Like,
they
that
told
is,
us when our
Yeah,
game
they're
was
so not
starting.
gonna change it. I just, this
Oh,
is
oh,
like,
you're
this is like
saying-
Christmas for Jews, and it's just starting to really drag my tail.
okay, so you're saying you're asking about changing the recognition date, not the actual game.
Keith, please tell me how I would have enough power ever in my lifetime to change a game. I mean, I don't want to make a big deal out of it, but I'm not even sure I could be there, but it was starting to sound so cool, even for somebody who's not a football fan. We've got to be mindful of these calendar things sometimes.
Well, to be honest, I doubt that we have the power to change either. Because what they do in football is all of the games that are a recognition game of some type, they do that early. They determine that, like, I know, like in November, it's military appreciation. November the 11th is Monogram Day, also homecoming. I doubt that they're gonna shift us. I think this is the game that they have designated for this. And so this is the game they have set aside tickets for that.
Yeah,
I agree with you, Keith. I'm not really asking for a solve, but I feel like it just,
I think there's probably not a solve out
There's
there,
not a solve.
right, Elizabeth, but I think that we can do our best that when we email Michael back and athletics, that we highlight the conflict that is in place so that they can be more mindful of that next year, and potentially trying to mitigate that in some fashion.
Well, and I happen to have a neighbor across the hall who is on the ACC board. And so I will put a bug in her ear, even for games. Not that I have any power, but she certainly has more than I do.
Yeah, I think that even the university doesn't have a whole lot of stake in deciding their schedule. It's probably the conference
No.
decides the football
Yeah.
schedule.
Well, this is a non-conference game. So the conference schedule is set. And so all of the ACC schools adhere to that. And then you build your non-conference schedule around that with open dates. This is something this is something a bit different because it's just like a recognition day. I mean, we can point it out to Michael and talk to Michael about it. Maybe not anything they can do this year. Maybe next year moving forward, they can look at not having the employee appreciation game on like a holiday or something. They could look at that. But I think that the rebuttal will be, well, either way, there's going to be a recognition day on this day. So I don't know.
What is Monogram Day? You mentioned one of the themes is Monogram Day. What is that for, Key?
Oh, that's homecoming.
Oh, okay.
Monogram Day and homecoming are always on the same day.
Interesting.
I
So
think
we
it's really
can-
cool that they do this. I'm not football fluent. I absolutely think I love that every game has something it's dedicated to. So I'm not actually complaining about this as much as I would just like it to be a thing for the employee forum. I know football is always going to happen on a Saturday. Oddly enough, Rosh Hashanah doesn't always happen on a Saturday. So
I think it's a great point, Elizabeth, and I think that we can do our best to advocate that we try and avoid, especially the employee appreciation one, being on a holiday, to be inclusive of all of our diverse staff across campus. So at the very least, we'll mention it to Michael and just try and advocate for that not happening in future years. That's very true. It's its own. That is very true. Okay, awesome. So more to come on that. Look out for a Qualtrics survey either this afternoon or tomorrow. We'll get that out to y'all and you can sign up to participate. Okay. I left a couple minutes at the end of our meeting. I wanted to kind of institute a new kind of standing agenda item during our kind of announcements and questions and adjournment process. where we do some highlights and kudos. It takes a village. I want to make sure that we give some time to recognize and give some snaps to our colleagues, whether it be in your department, in the employee forum, etc. So we'll just spend a few minutes closing out our meetings on a high note, and giving some recognition. So I'll start off things. I wanted to give a huge kudos and recognition to 2 of our delegates who came out and helped Matt Banks to clean out the employee forum office. I have not been by to see it yet, but Matt says it looks fantastic. So I believe that was Jonah and Denise. Am I right, Matt? I think that was right. So a big kudos to those 2 folks, and thank you for your help in doing that. That will make it much easier for Matt to kind of tackle some of our archival things that we need to do in advance of a potential move from our office due to the Porthole Alley project. So thank you, kudos. Spring cleaning is actually super fun, and I would have been there if I was not on vacation and at the beach. That actually is weirdly fun for me, and I know that makes me weird. So other folks who want to share a kudos from your department. Stephanie, you have one.
Yes. Also, can someone explain to me how you raise your hand?
I think it's in reactions. If you click on
okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, so I have kudos / thank you to David Bragg. So when I signed up to be on the university committee, he immediately reached out to me and was answering any questions I had. And so I really appreciated that.
Awesome. Kudos, snaps to David.
I have one. So mine is going to go to Shayna. Because every year Shayna graciously opens up her home and her pool for any of you that want to come and swim. No, not every day. Don't just show up at this woman's house and be like, girl, I came to swim. But she always does a employee forum pool party every year, whether it's 4 of us that show up or more like 18 this last time, I guess. That's the number I'm going with. She does it every year, and she's very gracious. It is not something she has to do. She just does it willingly every year, and I appreciate it.
Kudos and snaps. Thanks so much, Shayna. For those of you who have not been yet and now had the opportunity, I encourage you all to join us next time. It's a good time. Liz?
So I want to say thank you to the my colleagues on the forum who shared honestly about some of the challenging things they've been facing at the state staff assembly level. Sorry, I'm not finding it easy to talk today, but really appreciated how you shared about that. I'm not even going to put a qualifier on it. Thanks.
Kudos and snaps to all of our staff assembly folks. Tiffany.
Actually, mine was very similar. My staff assembly folks. Woo, y'all. People just do not know. And until I sat in that meeting, I mean, I get highlights in our group chat. However, just know you're appreciated, and the courage that it takes to speak up in that situation, especially with it being hostile at times, and the way that you all carry yourselves is just amazing. And I just wanted to shout you out for that because I love y'all for the work that you do and for speaking out and speaking up, even when it's uncomfortable for you to do. Your advocacy is appreciated, and we all love you very much.
Kudos and snaps.
Shout out to Tiffany for well-made t-shirts.
Yes.
I have one more myself. I'm going to give a kudos and a shout out to Matt Banks for all of his hard work. Like the retreat is a really heavy lift, and especially the work after the retreat to make sure that like committees are taken care of, and that all of the stuff that we do at the retreat kind of gets memorialized and gets us off the ground for the year. So like a kudos and a huge thank you to Matt for all his work on that front. And I know that he was on vacation this past week, and I hope he got some good rest and recuperation in following all of that hard work. So thank you as always to Matt. We couldn't do this without you, Matt. We appreciate you. I think that, wait, no, Arlene, your hand's up.
I don't know if anyone who's dealt with parking the past week. I'm sure they're tearing their hair out, because I won't say that what can go wrong did go wrong, but I'm sure they're stressed out. So good for them for maintaining the calm as much as they have. Because I went by there yesterday and she's like, I don't know. I'll have to go ask. I went, you know what? Take your time. We've got time. This is not the end of the world.
Other folks who want to share a kudos, I'm going to really quickly try and fulfill a request in the chat to pull up some photos from the retreat, or from the rather the staff assembly meeting. Photos from the retreat, speaking of which, Matt, I want to work with you to make sure we get those kind of off the camera and sent to folks somehow, because I know folks are eager to see zipline fun and activities that we did at the retreat back in July. So please feel free to somebody unmute yourself and share while I get this pulled up. Hang on a second.
This is David. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, David.
Hey, I enjoyed the retreat. I wanted to do the zip line, but I had a bad knee at that time. But the other parts was great about communication. It was real. It was awesome. And I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thanks, David. All right, I'm going to share my screen really quick. All right, so shout out to James, who as always makes us, even when we don't want to take photos at the staff assembly meetings. So we are at Winston-Salem State as a reminder. So we got to meet their chancellor. That was great. Sonia Nichols was our Board of Governors representative that came out to talk to us. So that's her. This is our, like, several of our Winston-Salem folks who helped host the meeting. It's good to see them. Keith and Sonia. I can't remember who that was. I think it's a Winston-Salem administrator. And then James and Shayna on the campus tour. It's a great afternoon. Shayna, Keith, and I actually got a separate little tour of the school down the road, the School of the Arts. So that was a fun opportunity as well. So here's Shayna and I participating in that tour. So glad to get to go out and take a look at our system schools over in Winston-Salem. It was a great time for all. I don't, Laura, have a photo of the shirt in question. I'm sure Keith could text one to you.
It's in the chat.
Is it in the chat? Oh, good.
It's delightful.
Yeah, so kudos and shout out to Tiffany for her help on that one. Okay, well, we're at our last couple of minutes. Any fun things before we wrap up? Matt mentioned in the chat that he'll maybe do a Google site for our photos to share them with folks. So more to come on that soon. Okay.
Enjoy the cooler weather.
Yeah.
Send me well wishes, because we're moving offices. We were originally supposed to be out by October the 1st, and then it was pushed to September the 15th, and now it has been pushed to September the 6th. So I'm just fully expecting them to come in next week, and they'd be like, yeah, today's your last day in this office. Just grab your stuff. Let's go. So we'll see.
Best of luck, Keith, on that process. Moving is never fun. We're trying our best to prepare for it ourselves because we know it's coming down the pike. Who knows when? But the Poor Hall Alley project is going to push the employee forum out of its office at some point in the near future. Fingers crossed we find a safe landing, maybe one that's close to blood drive location, so we don't have to schlep our stuff as far. Those 2 days of the year, that might be fun. Okay, awesome. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I second.
Is there any opposition? We'll do it by acclamation. Any opposition to adjourning? Okay, awesome. Thanks everybody for a great meeting. I hope to see many of you all at the August executive committee meeting where we're going to kind of finalize some projects and work on some fall things. So looking forward to seeing you all there and then seeing you all again in September. Again, reminder, September meeting is a week later because of Labor Day. Yeah, thanks everybody.
Thank you.
Hope
Bye,
you all get
y'all.
outside, enjoy the weather.
Take care, y'all.
Thank you.
Katie, do you want to stay on or you want me to call you?
Just call me.
Okay.
Thanks. Bye.